Federal government, resident doctors meet over hazard allowances. 3 die in Lagos gas explosion. In international news, 2 possible COVID-19 vaccines enter final phase of human testing. And in sport, Watford's former manager, Javi Gracia, now Valencia's boss.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Nigeria's COVID-19 infections have now exceeded 41,000, just as Nigeria's Center for Disease Control announced 624 new cases on Monday. NCDC further confirmed nearly 19,000 patients who have recovered from the virus. 18 states, including Lagos and the Federal Capital Territory, all recorded new cases. Lagos with more than 200 cases and Oyo with 69 topped the list on Tuesday. Despite the increasing numbers of infections, the federal government added 1 more week to the current phase of eased lockdown because of Salah celebrations. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, announced this on Monday at the bi-weekly presidential task force on COVID-19. Nigeria is Africa's 3rd most impacted country behind South Africa and Egypt. 3 persons have been confirmed dead on Tuesday in a gas explosion in Lagos. Acting coordinator for the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Ibrahim Faroye, confirmed 2 persons were injured and 7 shops consumed in the inferno. Faroye says the explosion happened when a panel beater was trying to up his oxyquietening flame, popularly known as carbide cylinder. The federal government and the National Association of Resident Doctors will meet again next month after Labour and Employment Minister Chris Ngige assured the doctors the federal government's commitment to their safety and welfare. Ngige told attendees at the meeting the federal government has spent nearly 16 billion naira on hazard allowances in federal teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, as well as some other non-COVID-19 hospitals where doctors have also been treating COVID-19 cases. The meeting also agreed that a 20% top-up for all health personnel inside the COVID wards and isolation centers of the hospital should take effect as quickly as possible. Ngige said the federal government has paid the premium for group life insurance for 1 year starting in April for all federal civil servants except those in the revenue-generating agencies such as Customs, Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, and NNPC who can afford their own insurance. A committee has been set up to resolve the lingering problem between the management of the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital and the resident doctors. President of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, is now free to contest the next month's election after an independent review panel completely exonerated him of all corruption allegations and ethical wrongdoings. Earlier this year, 16 allegations of ethical misconduct was brought up against Adesina by a group of whistleblowers. Apart from reviewing the report of the Ethics Committee, the panel also reviewed each of the 16 allegations by the whistleblowers and Adesina's responses to them. The committee dismissed all allegations after finding the president's submission consistent and persuasive. Akinwumi Adesina is currently the 8th president of the bank. Imobasi Fireworld is a young, talented Nigerian painter who specializes in the art of creating beautiful designs with smoke and fire, known as pyrography. In this next report, Imobasi talks about his works and passion with correspondent Kelechi Mekalam.
A special kind of art known as pyrography. It starts out unclear to an ordinary onlooker what Imobasi Fireworld has planned out as he fires up his gas torch, burning the traced outline on his wood board. Then carve after carve and scrape after scrape, the 48-year-old finally displays an interplay of light and shadow. bringing his artistic vision to life.
I'm into all kinds of arts. I'm into creative arts. But I like doing pyrography because I like monochrome work. It's like the African thing. It's not like painting that one need to use paints, oil colors and all that. You use brush.
Imabasi has groomed his innate gift into a professional career. His works are sought after in some African countries like Ghana, Kenya and Cote d'Ivoire. His art pieces sell between $400 and $3,500. But in a low-income nation like Nigeria, getting customers is oftentimes an uphill task.
Art is appreciated everywhere in the world. But the power to purchase, the purchasing power is actually the issue in Nigeria. Because of the economic situation in Nigeria, there's no purchasing power.
Nigerian artists have gained traction in the international market. In 2018 alone, art pieces by Nigerians sold for up to $3.3 million at auctions in London and New York. Imabasi is hoping to one day expand his frontiers to such platforms as well as open his own gallery.
Coming up, African stories. WHO, Africa CDC join forces to explore traditional herbal remedies for COVID-19 treatment. And later, international news. 2 possible COVID-19 vaccines enter final phase of human testing.
You are watching ANN.
Hey, tell them. They told me you are the best around here.
What can I do for you, sir?
I want my own very, very simple. I don't want any shine. If I see any shine.
Actually, I'd love some sequins on my skirt. And I don't like any frills.
I beg, I want frills on mine. But it must not be too tight.
Tight! That tight now, that is what I want. And the transition.
Oh, you know what? I want a gown. Me too. I want to come to
You know what GMS are this for coming? Hey, did you capture all the information?
Of course not.
Actually.
Fantastic!
I give my customers what they love because everyone has their unique style. So why should they wear the same thing? Just like MTN for me, which gives unique data and recharge offers just the way you like it. Just dial *121# and turn up great offers every day.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The World Health Organization and Africa Center for Disease Control have teamed up to explore traditional herbal remedies for the new coronavirus. This will be a second attempt in Africa. Madagascar released a herbal treatment earlier this year that some countries have declared ineffective. Oleta Wanjohi reports.
With the uncertainty of whether a vaccine for COVID-19 will be found, scientists say herbal solutions cannot be ignored.
There's a global outbreak, a global pandemic, and if Africa is able to, to come up with a therapeutic agent that does treat this infection, then it's a good thing for Africa.
To support scientifically proven herbal remedies, the Africa CDC and the World Health Organization have constituted a team of 25 experts on traditional medicine for COVID-19.
There are so many institutes across the continent that are very capable of analyzing the content of any medicinal plant, and there will be no need to invent the wheel. All we need to do is to harness the existing assets that exist and create a network by region of institutions that can handle traditional remedies or herbal or plants to make sure that the active ingredients are identified and characterized.
In May this year, Madagascar announced a herbal solution for COVID-19. The Africa CDC says it is yet to be investigated for its scientific efficacy.
We have formally reviewed what the government of Madagascar submitted to us as a dossier with the findings that informed them earlier to make the claim that they had the COVID-19 organic. We've written to them, we followed through with a note verbal to encourage that we agree on how to move forward with that, and we will be hopefully moving forward with that once the government of Madagascar reaches out to us.
There have been claims of herbal ideas in some other countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia, Cameroon and Gabon, but none has presented an official proposal to the Africa CDC yet.
It took quite some time to arrive at a peace deal in South Sudan. All that is now left is the implementation, but the new coronavirus is standing in the way. Patrick Oyet has that story.
The various armed groups in South Sudan were supposed to be unified, retrained and redeployed, but this is suspended as part of the government's measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. It is urging the public to be patient until the pandemic is put under control.
We are dealing with health, and health is something to talk about death. It's not a joke. So when we do our thing, we have to, what they call, to separate politics, social, and then something concerned us.
However, some members of opposition political parties in South Sudan accused the group led by President Salva Kiir of intentionally delaying processes such as reconstituting the parliament. They say dissolution of the old parliament and appointing new members should not be affected by the coronavirus. The opposition is now calling on the guarantors among the members of the East African Regional Body, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, or IGAD, to exert more pressure on the parties to the agreement.
Pandemic will not stop pressure because there are many ways of communication. It is not on. Even the last meeting of IGAD, the IGAD Council of Ministers, was done in a teleconference by Zoom. It was not the people sitting face to face. So nothing will prevent the international community from continuing to exert their pressure on the parties to respect an agreement they have signed.
The European Union is calling on South Sudan's government to find a lasting peace for the country.
Which is about how the government strikes the balance between needing to prevent COVID-19 from spreading around the country, but at the same time, how do we keep the larger humanitarian program going?
There are currently more than 2,000 cases of COVID-19 in South Sudan. The government has ordered for everyone to wear face masks and observe social distancing as measures to slow the spread of the virus. It has now been 5 months since the formation of the new government began, and the process is not yet complete. The East African Regional Body, IGAD, has so far set 2 deadlines that have been missed to reconstitute the parliament. The IGAD Special Envoy for South Sudan is currently in Juba to try to push the peace process forward, as health experts warn that COVID-19 could reach its peak here by next month.
Kenya has extended a nationwide nighttime curfew for a further 1 month following a surge in coronavirus cases in the country. President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced a ban on the sales of alcohol in all restaurants as bars remain closed indefinitely. Kenyatta made the announcement after meeting regional governors on Monday to assess the country's COVID-19 response. The president said he was concerned about increased cases, particularly among young people whose reckless actions, he says, were endangering the whole country. Kenya has so far recorded more than 17,000 cases of COVID-19 and 280 deaths.
When we return, international news. 2 possible COVID-19 vaccines enter final phase of human testing. And later, sport. Valencia gets new boss.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Many countries are in a race to produce vaccines for the treatment of coronavirus. Although there are some that are at an advanced stage, the two more promising potential coronavirus vaccines at this stage are those being developed by Moderna, a company based in the U.S. Wide-scale testing began on Monday to determine their safety and effectiveness. The first dose of the experimental vaccine was administered to a volunteer in Savannah, Georgia. He is the first of 30,000 healthy persons around the country who will receive 2 doses of the vaccine over the next several weeks in a late-stage phase of the study to see if people get infected or sick from COVID-19. The vaccine is being developed by researchers at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. The institute's head, Dr. Anthony Fauci, told reporters on Monday the first reports of the late-stage trial of the vaccine may be known by early November. If the trial is successful, Moderna will produce 500 million doses a year with the hopes of making 1 billion doses annually beginning in 2021. Wearing a face mask on public transport has become mandatory in France since mid-May. It has also become obligatory to put on a nose and mouth covering in shops, supermarkets and banks. But many financially handicapped families are complaining of the financial toll the requirements take on them. So the French government is now giving out 40 million face masks to relieve the burden. And correspondent Bruce Collin has the story.
Wearing a face mask on public transport has been obligatory in France since mid-May. Now putting one on in shops, supermarkets and banks is also compulsory. But that decision has been criticised. Families are seeing an increase to their budgets.
When it comes to the most vulnerable, national solidarity must work, because there's no option for those people. If we want to win the war against COVID-19, everyone has to wear a mask to keep everyone else safe. Taxpayers must be involved. For the whole population, that would be too much. But a great way to halve people's budgets is to impose lower prices for masks.
The move is aimed at curbing the coronavirus, especially in the capital, where the number of cases is rising slowly but continuously. The government has responded by sending millions of masks to those most in need.
This latest move puts increased pressure on family finances. They were first impacted by the school's closure when children had to stay at home, and then by masks being made compulsory on trains and buses.
Wearing a face covering is now part of daily life in France, but that doesn't mask the fact that it is costly. The government bringing in new policies to confront the pandemic, but the old problems of support for the most vulnerable continue.
Restaurants are reopening across Peru after during the coronavirus pandemic. Peru is second in Latin America and now 6th in the world for confirmed COVID-19 cases. In Lima, fondly called South America's gastronomic capital, restaurants must operate at half their capacity. Correspondent Dan Collins has the meaty story.
After months of home cooking, nothing quite beats the dining experience. Not so long ago, diners stood in line for this top seafood restaurant.
In this restaurant we opened at 12 noon and by 12:30 it was full. We didn't have reservations. Now we work with reservations.
You don't have to line up to get into Lima now, one of many highly rated eateries in Lima. dubbed the gastronomic capital of South America. From street food to fine dining, Lima is a city which loves to eat out. But that gastronomic culture has taken a big knock from the pandemic. Diners are starting to venture out, but gradually, and many restaurants have been forced to close. Peru's Institute of Statistics calculates around a third of Lima's more than 80,000 restaurants had to shut down. Restaurants were allowed to open at 40% capacity, provided they comply with strict biosecurity protocols.
The client comes into the restaurant and doesn't find a tense environment, rather a safe, calm place where he or she can enjoy the food and the restaurant's atmosphere.
The reopening, even if partial, has thrown a lifeline to many restaurants on the verge of insolvency. But the absence of more than 4 million tourists who visit Peru every year means business may be slow. Spanish food journalist Ignacio Medina says the once booming sector will have to adapt to survive.
The low-cost restaurants will suffer because businesses are still closed or teleworking and people are learning to cook at home. The mid-range restaurants may have an advantage as long as they don't rely on tourists as their public, and the high-level restaurants will always have clientele, but they'll have to fight for them because those who once relied on foreign tourists will now have to set their sights on the Peruvian public.
But most Peruvians don't have the spending power they once did. Job losses just in the capital have surpassed 2.6 million. The lingering effects of the pandemic mean it could be some time before this favourite destination for foodies is back on the menu.
Up next, sport. Watford's former manager, Javi Gracia, now Valencia's boss. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow the story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit. Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, the league management company is ready to name Nigeria's second representative in the CAF Champions League. Nigeria Football Federation earlier cancelled the 2019-2020 league season and used the points per game approach to decide club standings in the final table with no teams promoted or relegated. The PPG is an arithmetic average used for the points garnered divided by the number of games played to decide positions in the league table. With the format, Plateau qualified for the CAF Champions League as log leaders with 49 points. The Rivers United and Eyimba are tied, and Nigerians are waiting for which team between the two will join Plateau United. Valencia have appointed Watford's former boss, Javi Gracia, as their new coach on a 2-year deal. The Spaniard is Valencia's third full-time manager in the last 12 months, after the sackings of Marcelino last September and Albert Celadis last month. 50-year-old Gracia led Watford to 11th place in the EPL and FA Cup final in 2018-2019. And that is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Have a pleasant evening.